Action 9 has poured over thousands of state inspections to find restaurants that keep breaking the rules and could make you sick. One of those restaurants was just closed by state inspectors after failing its latest inspection just today.
What if I told you the freshly prepared meal you ordered last night was actually sitting in a plastic bag for 72 hours before it touched your plate? These 15 restaurant chains are betting you'll never discover what happens between their trucks and your table. Let's start with a restaurant that owns more microwaves than actual cooking equipment. Applebee's wants you to believe you're getting a freshly prepared meal. You're not. Most of their entrees arrive at the restaurant already made and frozen. The kitchen? It's basically a reheating station with fancy lighting. And those beautiful grill marks on your steak? Pre-printed, literally stamped onto the meat before it ever reaches the building. You're paying $15 for what is essentially a TV dinner with table service. But here's where it gets really wild. Their Oriental chicken salad, sounds healthy, right? Packs 1,400 calories and 2,500 milligrams of sodium. That's more than you should eat in an entire day. In a salad, the 2 for $20 deals work because the food costs almost nothing to prepare. You're getting cafeteria-grade ingredients at sit-down prices. Health inspectors have repeatedly flagged locations for storing food at dangerous temperatures. Cross-contamination issues pop up constantly. Since 2017, over 200 locations have closed. Customers figured it out. But Applebee's problems look almost minor compared to what's happening at buffet chains. Golden Corral's buffet spread looks like a feast. It is, for bacteria. Here's the problem with all you can eat. Food sits in what health experts call the danger zone, between 40 and 140 degrees. That's where germs throw a party. And Golden Corral's massive setup? Monitoring every tray is basically impossible. But nothing beats what happened in Kansas back in 2013. An employee filmed ribs being stored outside, by the dumpster. Why? Management was hiding spoiled meat during a health inspection. The company actually admitted it. Their chocolate fountain looks fun, until you realize it's a germ waterfall. Kids stick their fingers in it. Adults double dip. The warm temperature keeps everything growing. One Florida location racked up 45 violations in a single visit. Raw meat stored above ready-to-eat food. Classic rookie mistake. Except this wasn't a rookie kitchen. The average customer walks out having consumed over 3,000 calories. Your heart works overtime for days processing that much sodium. Still, Golden Corral's issues seem almost manageable compared to the drive-thru disaster coming next. Checkers, or Rallies depending on where you live, holds a record no restaurant wants. Dirtiest fast food chain in America. Multiple times. 60% of locations failed health inspections in one study. 6 out of 10. You'd get better odds flipping a coin. Their whole business model creates the problem. 2 drive-through lanes means chaos. Speed matters more than sanitation. Your burger sits under heat lamps while some teenager juggles orders from both directions. But here's what really got me. Inspectors found grease buildup so thick they could literally scrape it off in chunks. We're talking archaeological layers of old cooking residue. And rodent droppings? Near the cooking stations, where your food gets made. Want to know what you're actually eating? A Baconzilla packs over 1,000 calories and 71 grams of fat. That's more fat than an entire stick of butter. For lunch, former employees blame chronic understaffing. Can't clean properly when you're running the whole kitchen.
For generations, taking the family out to a restaurant was a hard-earned reward. You worked all week, paid a premium, and expected a fresh meal prepared by a real cook. But that illusion is cracking. Millions are realizing they are paying sit-down prices for what essentially amounts to a microwave TV dinner. The industry has quietly shifted away from actual cooking. Instead, massive corporate distributors are shipping out frozen bags of heavily processed ingredients, loaded with the exact same chemicals we try to avoid at the grocery store. Today, we're looking at what actually happens behind those kitchen doors and why you might be getting scammed every time you order.
Never order fish specials or salads at restaurants. Here's why. Many chefs have reported fish specials are usually a red flag because they're often a way for the chef to get rid of old inventory. When a restaurant has too much of something that's about to go bad, they'll create a quick special dish to move it fast and cut their food costs. And salads are even worse. Unless you're at a high-end restaurant, most lettuce doesn't get washed properly. Often people will skip washing the lettuce because it takes too much time. So that lettuce goes straight from the bag to your plate. That means you're eating whatever bacteria, dirt, or contamination came with it. So unless you trust the kitchen, skip these two dishes. Your health isn't worth the risk.
Going out to eat in 2026 is basically just seeing who reheats Sysco food the best. Sysco is the largest food distributor in America, and a massive percentage of restaurants, not just chains, a lot of the local spots too, are ordering pre-made meals from Sysco, reheating them and plating them like they cooked it. The soup, the pasta sauce, the desserts, a lot of it arrives frozen in bags, gets heated up, put on a plate, $32. And the ingredients in Sysco's pre-made food, seed oils, preservatives, fillers, the same stuff you're trying to avoid at the grocery store. So you skip the grocery store, go to a restaurant to eat real food, and you're eating the same processed stuff with a markup. This is why I started cooking at home with ingredients from local farms. At least I know exactly where it came from and what's in it.
People just now finding out that like all appetizers are just from Sysco. I've worked in probably 15 different restaurants and I've seen the same boxes at every one of them. Different states, doesn't matter. It doesn't explicitly say on the menu, like, cheese from this farm, greens from this farm, from this place. If it's not being advertised that it's local, it's probably from Gordon Foods, Sysco, Chef's Warehouse, Restaurant Depot, one of the things. Not just fried apps, which are definitely the most common things that are bought through Sysco, but desserts, because they don't want to pay for a pastry chef, breads, because they don't want to pay for a baker. Also, a lot of soups, sauces, ranch bases, pretty much anything that they can cheap out on, they will cheap out on. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It would be nice if restaurants had all this kind of money to spend on local farms and support their local economy. And, you know, we all eat really great food from these local farms, but a good chef knows how to take cheap ingredients, turn them into something good, or you can use the cheap ingredients and highlight something better. Save your money in certain places in order to buy something really good, really ethical, and really delicious. But it's the unfortunate truth of the restaurant industry. Same thing for bartending. A lot of places use mixes that are all from the same place. All gonna taste the same.
Everybody's talking about how Sysco is ruining all of the restaurants. And while I agree that's true, I'm gonna tell you guys something that I found that I'm pretty sure my local Asian buffet uses this exact thing for their shrimp tempura. And I'm going to tell you guys something else too. So this is from Costco. This is the Kirkland Signature brand shrimp tempura. You cook with this in the oven or the air fryer. It also comes with these sauce packets that you put on top. And these are like sweet. This tastes the exact same as the Asian buffet, as the like expensive shrimp tempura that you get when you go out. This is the same one. And the other thing, when you go to an Asian buffet, almost always they have those little cheesecakes and they're little squares. I don't have any right now because I ate them all. The little square cheesecakes. I always thought those were homemade. They're not. They are from Sam's Club. If you go to the freezer section, like where the ice cream is, they have a big box and it's like a multi-pack of cream. It says cheesecake on it. You take it home and it's literally an entire like pallet of those little square cheesecakes and keep it in the freezer. So while I think it's disappointing that all restaurants use like Cisco now to get all of their like restaurant supplies, whatever, it's kind of beneficial because we can talk about the things that they are actually using. And I'm 100% sure all of the local Asian restaurants that I know of use this exact shrimp tempura because it is so good and it tastes exactly like the restaurant one.
Do you know anybody still eating here? I know you're not eating here because you don't, right? Yeah, or you never ate here probably, right? Okay, you probably have. All right, fact is nobody should. And I believe that if you knew the ingredients, you wouldn't. Have you seen this burger right here? Yeah, that's a burger that's in my kitchen that's a year and a half old, still looks brand new. Here's why. If you just look at the 11 ingredients that they post, well, there's even more than that. What about the herbicides, the glyphosate that's not even on the ingredients list that are known causers, billions of dollars being awarded, yeah, loaded in this food. Okay, French fries, something called TBHQ, tert-butyl hydroxyquinone. You know what that is? I don't, but it's in the frying oil. Oh, and by the way, the frying oil, it's not a food. It stays in our cells for 2 years if you're eating this stuff. Dimethyl polysiloxane, have you ever heard of that? It's some anti-foaming agent that they put in. The chemical list goes on and on. Natural beef flavor that gives the McDonald's signature flavor. God only knows what's in that because they don't put those ingredients in it. The point is ultra processed food is not more white bread, more white pasta. No, we ate that as a kid, right? No, ultra processed food is an ingredient list this long that we don't even know what it is. And we wonder why my generations, my kids, that generation is the first generation to not outlive their parents. It's got to stop somewhere.
Here's what you need to know about restaurants from someone who worked in multiple restaurants. The kitchen is not clean. It is not up to your standards. It is not as clean as you would like it to be. And I'm sorry, but that's just the truth. Your server has not washed her hands for the entire shift. If you're lucky, she washed her hands when she came in the building, but it's like a 50-50 chance that that happened, unless your server was me. If your server was me, you had the cleanest person in the building, okay? I guarantee you. And I'm not saying that to be braggy. I'm just saying it because it's the truth. They used to make fun of me because of how much I washed my hands. Like, the dishwasher once told me, like, you come back here a lot and wash your hands. Like, what's going on? And I was just like, that's just what I do. See, when I have other people's food on my hands, I go wash them. I don't want to be walking around with, like, mashed potatoes on my hands. So, yeah, I'm going to wash them. I've watched servers like clear a dirty table, turn right around, and make you your salad with their bare hands. Yeah, I've seen it a lot, believe it or not. And, you know, that's the risk you take when you go to a restaurant. The ice is not as clean as you would like it to be. That ice is pretty nasty. And the reason why is because no one cleans the containers that the ice is in. So whatever container, usually we're transporting ice from the ice maker to the drink machine. So whatever container we're using probably hasn't been cleaned in years. Same thing with the ice chest. Yeah, we just keep dumping new ice in there. No one's like draining the entire thing and then wiping it down. No one does that. Sometimes I did just to be like a good person, but like I didn't do it as much as I should have because it's just too much work. It's too hard. Different restaurants have different ways of cleaning their tables. If it's corporate run, they probably have like a sanitation station. So like it's a bucket of pre-mixed sanitizing liquid that you then dip your rag in, you go to the table and you wipe it down. But let me tell you, no one is changing out those buckets as often as they should be. Yeah, I watch servers who have like an ice cold bucket of sanitizing solution from like this morning and it's now evening and they got food particles floating in there and no one's changing it. No one is. I don't know why. My sanitizing bucket was always fresh and hot, just so you know. First thing I did, I come onto the floor, I check the bucket. And sure enough, it's disgusting. So I go change that out, get some fresh cleaner in there, okay? And then I go and wipe down my tables so that they're actually clean. Other restaurants literally just like spray on a disinfectant and you wipe it down, but like no one lets that sit long enough for it to actually be disinfecting. If you just spray and wipe, you've pretty much done nothing except like get the actual crumbs off of the table. And last but not least, nighttime cooks are better than the daytime cooks. I don't know why. Is it some unknown phenomenon? Perhaps. Maybe it's just because we know we're going to be busier at night than we are during the day, so we want to have a better cook on for the nighttime. Who knows? But when it comes to restaurant staff, you want to go in the evening, okay? That's when you're going to have the best servers. That's when you're going to have the best dishwasher. That's when you're going to have the best cook. See, because the people that are working until like midnight and then like sleeping through the day, you know how like they're all a little bit messed up? They're all like alcoholics and they all like smoke like a chimney. For some reason though, they make the best restaurant staff. So if you're going to eat at a restaurant, do it at night. Don't do it during the day. You're just going to have a better cook. You're going to have a better server. They're like, they've already drank their Red Bull for the day. They're ready to go. For some reason, the night cooks will always be better than the day cooks.
It is not just that the food is unhealthy, it is the deception. Families are tightening their belts to deal with inflation, and when they finally splurge on a meal out, they're served the exact same highly processed, seed oil heavy ingredients they could buy frozen at a big box store. Massive corporate suppliers have quietly monopolized the supply chain, turning local kitchens into simple reheating stations. Add in chronic understaffing that leads to serious sanitation failures, and you have an industry relying on a fundamentally broken model. They are cutting corners on labor, cutting corners on ingredient quality, but continuously raising the prices on the menu. For a lot of working people, the convenience of eating out simply isn't worth the cost to your wallet or your health anymore. I want to hear from anyone who has worked in the restaurant industry recently. Have you seen this shift toward pre-packaged, reheated food in your kitchens, or noticed a drop in sanitation standards? Share your experiences in the comments below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.